Hello all, welcome back. So in the previous videos of MMI, we've talked about different methods or strategies which we can use to answer different MMI questions, like the stars, the spikes method, the Campbell method, the four principles approach in case of ethical scenarios, all of those things for answering different kinds of MMI questions like problem solving, conflict resolution, ethical dilemmas, and so on. So if you haven't watched that video, you can go back and watch it. In today's video, we're talking about a psychological principle which you can use to answer your MMI, which can create an impact on the examiner. So it's called the primacy effect and the recency effect. So if you're preparing for MMI and you're concerned about how you create that lasting impression on the examiner, then this psychological principle can really make a difference. So the primacy effect is that the people remember the first and last thing that they hear the most. Okay, this is called the primacy effect and the recency effect. Suppose you enter the room, the first thing they notice is your body language, how you greet the person, how you sit, whether you're confident, how is your voice, the modulation, all of those things, the non-verbal cues. Okay, and the first statement that you make with regards to the question, with your answer, if you make a strong opening statement, it can be a good thing. So when you rotate through multiple stations, this effect can play a huge role. So if you start strong and end strong, you can become more memorable. So it applies to your first station and your last station, as well as what you say in each station, the first sentence that you make and how you conclude your thing, because that's where we stammer the most. Okay, we don't get an opening sentence and we start off somehow, and then we put in all the information all at once without having a connection to the statements that we make, because there is no clarity, there is no connection with the ideas, and then we don't also conclude because we are not trained to and practiced to create, to ace the interview like that, to appear for the interview like that. But when you prepare in that tone, like when they ask you, for example, an ethical dilemma, you can open with saying that, okay, based on this principle of the ethical principle, I think this is better. Then you can elaborate and justify your answer and conclude by saying that, okay, in such and such scenarios we may do this, and always we have to do this kind of thing, so that you summarize and you take out something from that question. So that is how you can use this effect to your advantage. So how do you use the primacy effect? We'll talk about in detail. So you need to establish confidence and credibility right from the beginning. So walk into the station with good posture, make eye contact, greet the interviewer warmly. First impressions are usually formed within seconds. Begin your response with a strong, clear statement that directly addresses the question. For example, if asked about ethical dilemmas, you can start by saying that, okay, in this question, the patient autonomy is one of the most important aspect that is in question. So you have to do such that the patient autonomy gets protected. If applicable, use a compelling anecdote that highlights your skills and values early in your answer, because people tend to remember stories better than facts. So suppose you're asked, why do you want to be a doctor? So instead of listing so many reasons like 1, 2, 3, you can say, when I was 12, my grandfather had a heart attack and I remember feeling helpless. That moment sparked my passion for medicine. You don't have to by heart a story. It can be your story, because when you say from the truth, from your experience, it becomes more relatable. So that was about the primacy effect. Now, how do you make a lasting impact? How do you use the recency effect? So now let's talk about the recency effect. So when your examiner, the more important thing they remember about you is how you leave. So the last thing you say should reinforce your main point. So you have to summarize effectively. You have to practice that. Only then will you be able to summarize, because otherwise you'll be talking in jargon. You won't be having any connection to your ideas, and there won't be any clarity in your thought. So always wrap your answer with a strong conclusion. So you can say, like, to summarize, or in this scenario, I would prioritize patient safety while ensuring ethical principles are upheld. So you have made your point very clear that you are out for the ethical principles. You will uphold them no matter what, and you have to ensure patient safety. So it's always patient centric, and it's always based on the ethical principles, whatever the questions be asked. And also your last station matters, because once you are out of so many stations and you get to the last station, you can actually get worried and emotionally drained. But if your last station goes well, it can positively influence the overall impression. So keep your energy high until the very end. So if given a chance, you can express gratitude before leaving the station, like, thank you for this opportunity. So that was about the primacy effect and recency effect, which you can use in any interviews. And for EMREE, as far as EMREE is concerned, you can use during your MMI. To ace your MMI, focus on starting strong, ending stronger, and you can try all the techniques that we have discussed in previous videos. On coming days, we'll be discussing more MMI questions and the framing of answer. You don't have to by heart them, but you have to keep reviewing this question, trying to talk with yourself. You can talk in the mirror with somebody in your house or your colleagues or anybody from your peer group, so that it becomes easier. Your tongue will get used to answering the MMI questions. So all the best for all of you who are applying for residency this year. Thank you so much.